Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more session. Let us look into the agenda for this particular session. We will understand about auto scaling and we'll configure auto scaling. And then we will see about AMI, what is AMI, different types of AMI. And then we'll migrate EC2 instance from one region to another region. Okay. These are the couple of things that we're going to do in this session. And to create auto scaling, the steps that would be like create a virtual machine, create a template from the virtual machine, create an auto scaling group. We will download a CPU stress tool on virtual machine so that we can apply stress or load on the CPU so that we can see another virtual machine coming up. Okay, that is the agenda for this particular session. Now let us start our discussion understanding what is auto scaling group. Okay, or what is the feature auto scaling. Now, let us say that we have an application. Application name is, let's say, X. Okay. Now, I have built an infrastructure for this application X. Uh, let's say this is there on these two servers, and each server is capable of serving 10 requests at a time, for example. That means this whole infrastructure is capable of serving around 20 requests at a time. That is what the infrastructure that we have created for this application called as X. Now let's say over weekend, this application is getting around 200 requests per second. Okay, this is getting 200 requests. Then is this infrastructure enough for me to serve this 200 requests that I am coming from user? Obviously, the answer is no. That means for 200 requests, this cannot serve. Then what I need to do? I need to add couple of more virtual machines. Okay, manually, my cloud administrators has to add couple of more virtual machines. Then I'll be able to handle this 200 requests. Now, my application was able to successfully handle all the requests because I have added additional compute power. Now, what happened? Weekend finished. On Monday, suddenly the request for my applications dropped from 200 to back to 20 requests. Now, what will happen to all these virtual machines? Even though I don't have load, I'm just keeping these virtual machines and I'm paying for them unnecessarily. So I want a system in place so that if my application is having 20 requests, I want two servers to be serving that requests. And if I'm getting 40 requests, I want a system that can create these two virtual machines automatically and assign. If I'm getting 60 requests, I want that to scale system to scale another two virtual machines. Now let's say if my load is reducing from my application load is reducing from 60 to 30 requests, then I want a system which is capable enough of removing the additional computing resources as well. So that I will be paying only for the resources that I'm going to use. Okay. This is the system that I'm looking for. And for this, the AWS answer is that it AWS is providing as a service called as AWS Auto Scaling. Okay, with the help of AWS Auto Scaling, if application requires more resources, it will scale more resources. If it does not require more resources, it will scale down the resources. That is what an auto scaling service will do. Now there are a couple of components that we need to understand. One of the component in auto scaling group is called as groups or group. What is this group? Now let's say if we need to add or remove virtual machines, where we need to add? We need to create something called as a group. So if application load is increasing, virtual machine is added to this group. If the load is reducing, virtual machines will be removed from this group. Okay, that is why group is very important. We need to create something called as group. So your EC2 instances are organized into groups so that they can be treated as one logical unit. Okay, for this purpose we need to have something called as group. Next we need to have something called as template. Okay, now what is a template? Now let's understand this. When we create a EC2 instance, we select some configuration, right? Like what should be the image, correct? What should be the configuration, etc. etc. All these things we select when we are creating a EC2 instance. But now, when the system is automatically creating this EC2 instance and adding to this group, what should be the OS in this? What should be the image? What should be the configuration that this EC2 instance should be created? Configuration means what should be the RAM, what should be the CPU, storage. For that, we create that as a template. So in this template, we'll mention what is the image or what is the OS version or what should be the CPU, RAM, etc. All these things are defined in a template. Now, once these are defined in a template, whenever an EC2 instance is created, it will be created from this particular template. Okay, these two things is very important. The first one is called as groups. The second terminology is called as template. Now, I'm telling you that whenever we require computing resources, it will automatically increase the servers, or when we don't need, it will reduce it. How will the system will take a decision when it has to add a server, when it has to remove a server? Okay, that is defined by something called as scaling options. Okay, we define rules here. Like for example, let's say CPU is like about 50% utilized or 60% utilized or 70% utilized for over like 5 minutes. We can define our scaling rules. Based on the scaling rules that we define, new EC2 instance will be created and it will be added to the group. Okay, so these are the three terminologies which is there in auto scaling. One is called as group, second one is called as template, third one is called as scaling options. Okay, now we will do a hands-on exercise for auto scaling. So what all things that we will do? First and foremost thing, we will create one EC2 instance. Okay, that is we'll create a virtual machine and we'll create a template from that particular virtual machine. Okay, and then we will create auto scaling groups and we will log into one of the virtual machine. We'll apply artificial pressure on the CPU in that virtual machine and we will see one more virtual machine coming up automatically. Okay, let me go to my AWS console for that. Okay, I'm on my AWS console. Let's say I'm going to instances, select option launch instance. Okay, create a web server. No, let me name this instance as ASD1 instance. Okay, I will select Windows operating system on that. All right, last all, I will select create a new key pair. I will select the key pair as name as ASG. It should be PEM file. Create a key pair. All right, and rest all things I will leave it as defaults. That is okay for us. Let me go ahead and select this option called as launch instance. Okay, now the instance is successfully launched. Let me go to this instance. See, it is pending in state. Okay, let's wait for a minute. The instance is getting created. Now, if you see, the instance state is running. Okay. Now there's nothing that we need to do this in instance. So now let's say if I have to configure auto scaling group, first of all, I told that we require something called as a template, right? Now, how can I create this template? I will create this template from this virtual machine. That means every time a new instance is created to add to the auto scaling group, it will choose this configuration. It will have Windows OS. It will have whatever T2 macro as the instance type. Whatever configuration is this instance, it will launch the same instance. How to create a template out of this? You see, there's an option called as actions. Go to image and templates. You see, there's an option create a template from this instance. Select option, create template from instance. Give a name to template. I'll say my ASG template. Okay, and auto scaling guidance, we will see that later. All right, rest all I will leave it as defaults. And let me create a launch template. It's saying that templates has been successfully launched. Okay, I gave the name of the template as my ASG temp. Okay, only one version of this particular template is there. You can see that in the launch templates. Or else if you want to create a template, instead of going to actions, you can go from here also, select option, create launch template, and we can select the configuration that is required for this particular template. Okay, the two ways we can create a template. Now what we did, two things we have done. We have created a virtual machine. We have created a template out of the virtual machine. Now if you scroll down, you will see something called as auto scaling groups. Let us create a group. Click on this, select create auto scaling group, give a name to the group. My new my new ASD. Okay, and what template this ASD should use? I'll say my ASD template. Okay, default version is 1, that is fine. Now select option, next. Choosing default version, that is fine. Which availability set, availability zones and subnets? Let's say I will choose 2 or 3 to make sure that I have high availability. Okay, and then instance requirements, if you want to override launch template, you can select that, but as of now that is fine. Go to next. Now do you want to attach this to a load balancer? If you want to attach to a load balancer, select a load balancer. You can see if there is any load balancer here. Okay, there is some load balancer. I don't want to attach to any load balancer as of now. Select no load balancer. And health checks, once in 300 seconds it will keep checking the health. If you want to monitor using CloudWatch, we can enable this. Okay, let's select next. Now you see, this is the something that we need to understand: desired capacity, minimum capacity, and maximum capacity. So maximum capacity means if we say auto scaling, if more load is coming, maximum how many it can create. I'm saying I'm limiting maximum, you can go only up to 5. Don't scale more than that. Minimum capacity, once the this auto scaling group is launched, how many minimum virtual machines it should have? What is the desired capacity for application? Okay, let's say desired capacity is 1, maximum is 1, sorry, minimum is 1, maximum is 5. So as and when there is load, it will keep on increasing the virtual machines. Maximum it will go is up to 5. Okay, minimum capacity, desired capacity, and maximum. So maximum is how many it can scale up. So now what is the scaling policy? I can select the scaling policy here. Let's say target scaling policy. You have multiple options. Let's say if the CPU is utilization is more than, I'm just put choosing very less value so that we can see the instance coming up very fast. Okay, and the cooldown period is 45 seconds. That means it will check for 45 seconds. If constantly for 45 seconds the CPU utilization is 20, then only it will increase. Okay, and then go to next. If we want to add notifications, we can add notifications, but as of now I don't want to add any notification here. Click on next, next, and then create auto scaling group. Okay, now if we see, it is saying updating capacity desired one, minimum is 1, max is 5, right? If I go to EC2 instances, okay, there's only one instance. We will see one instance will come up as soon as this auto scaling is created. Let's open this another window. Okay, let's see here whether we got any EC2 instance. You see here, there's a EC2 instance that is getting started here. Okay, what we will do, we will log into this EC2 instance and we'll put an artificial pressure. Okay, copy this. Okay, now the instance number of instances you see here, there are two number of instances here. Okay, now how do I can log into this? Let me click on this, select option connect. Okay, now get password. Okay, we need to wait for a moment here. Let me decrypt the password. Let's go to connect here, RDP client, get password. Yeah, upload the p key file. Let me go to downloads. ASGPEM is the file. Open, decrypt password. Okay, I have the password. Download RDP file, connect. Okay, it is connecting to the server. Now let me give the password and then select option OK. More choices, use a different account, administrator, and then let me give the password. Select option S. Now it is connecting to the remote session. Now we are able to connect to the system, and let me open Microsoft Edge here to download CPU stress tool. We choose a very small instance, that's the reason it is slow. Let me open Google. All right. And type in CPU stress tool. Oh, come on. Okay, download the CPU stress. Okay, let's this let's download the CPU. Oh no, let's download this. Select option, download now. Okay, it is downloading. Let us wait for a minute. While it is downloading, actually, if you guys remember, we have given the stress should not be more than 20%, right? Let me check that. Now, if you see, the CPU utilization is 100, right? Okay. So because the CPU utilization is 100, we don't need to install any other CPU stress tool to artificially put the CPU stress, because it already reached 100%. Now, we have to see new instances creating automatically because there is huge stress on the CPU. Let me minimize this. Let me go to EC2 instance, and you see here we can see there is lot of instances that are created automatically. So maximum 5 instances, right? So if we see how many instances are there, 1 2 3 4 5, one is the one, ASG1 is the one which we already created one to create a template out of it. So we can see maximum 5 instances are created. Okay, again when we the load is less, automatically these instances will be removed. That is all about auto scaling group. So basically we have created uh, what is that, we created groups, templates, and we created scaling options. So whenever there is load, EC2 instance automatically scaled up, and when the load is down, it will automatically go down. All right, that's about auto scaling. Next, let us look into the next concept, which is called as AMI. AMI stands for Amazon mission image. Okay, now what are the different types of AMIs that are available? There are multiple AMIs that are available. First one is called as my AMI. Second one is called as marketplace. Third one is called as community AMI, and fourth one is called as quick starts. Now what are these? My AMI is that we can create our own AMI or our own image. From where we'll create this image? From a running EC2 instance, we can create a image. And then there is marketplace. Like for example, let's say I have designed a software by name Level Up. Okay. And what I did, I created a Ubuntu instance. Plus, I installed my software called as Level Up, and I named this as uh, Level Up image. Okay, and I'm going to put some cost like $0.002. Okay, now that means what, you can, when you're creating a EC2 instance, if you select my image called as Level Up image, you will get Ubuntu operating system as well as you will get this software Level Up as well on the instance, so that there is no need for you to separately uh, install this software on that. Okay, so there are a lot of images in the marketplace. If you want any software that is specific, you can choose that. Community AMI, let's say there are a couple of people working towards some common goal. We want to use some common softwares. We can create a community AMI and share between the users. Now, quick starts, when you we created EC2 instance couple of times now. So whatever regular AMIs that you use are nothing but quick start AMIs. Okay. And my own AMI, my own AMI, when I create my own AMI, it can be public. Okay, it can be public or it can be private. It can be public or private. And AMIs are region specific. Okay, if you create AMI in one region, you cannot use it in another region. We have to migrate. Okay, so let us go ahead and do some hands-on exercise so that we'll get more clarity on AMIs. Let me switch to my AWS console. Let me quickly create one EC2 instance. Select option launch instance. I'll give the name as AMI demo. I'll choose Ubuntu as the image. I will select a key pair. Let's say ASG, that is fine. I'll open HTTP and HTTPS ports. Okay, select option called as launch instance. Let me go to this instances. AMI demo. I will connect to this specific instance. Let's wait for a moment here. Okay, let me connect to this instance. Select option connect. Basically, I'll make a web server. I'll make this EC2 instance into a web server and create an image out of that. And next instance, I will launch from the image. Okay, I'll log in as root user and root folder, sudo apt update. This is to make this server as a web server. Sudo apt install apache 2-y. Okay, now we have this slash var folder. Let me directly go to slash var slash www slash html, and ls we can see there's an index.html file. Okay, I'll make modifications to this file. Let me put my code here, copy, minimize. Let me do vi index.html, enter, I for insert. Okay, let me paste my code. Okay, now let's see the IP address of the server. Public IP address is this. Let me put that in a browser. We will see a default page that will come up. Now if you see, my web page is up. Okay, now what I will do, I will create a AMI out of this EC2 instance. What is the EC2 instance? This is not the instance. Let's go here. AMI demo. This is the EC2 instance. Okay, let me create a AMI out of this. Now let's say instance type. No, in the actions, you see these actions. In the actions, you see there's image and template. Here you select an option called as create a image. Image name, I'll give it as web server. If you want, we can give a description. Let's say new. Again, it is optional. Okay. Everything is fine. Let me select option create image. Now the image is creating. Let's go into the AMIs here. Okay, you see this image is creating. This will take about a minute for the status. You see it is pending as of now. Let us wait for few seconds. Now if we see, the AMI is available. Okay, we can name this AMI also. I can say my first AMI and then save it. Now let's see the magic how to use this AMI. Now let me go to instances. Okay, select option launch instance. Okay, I will say the name of the instance is instance for from AMI. Now I told you that there are different types of AMIs, right? You see here, my AMIs, quick start AMIs, okay, and recently used. If you go for browse for more AMIs, you can see all the options here. Marketplace AMIs, community AMIs. If you go to marketplace, there are a lot of them. Okay, if you use this particular AMI, SUSE Linux Enterprise, you will also get SAP HANA install on that. Okay, if you use this, VPN access will also be there. OPN VPN software will be installed on that particular instance that is coming up. Okay, if you see my AMIs, I have one AMI. The name of the AMI is web server. Okay, now I am selecting my own AMI for the instance to be created. Okay, the AMI that I have selected is my own AMI, which is a web server. The name of the AMI that we have given is web server. Instance type, I will leave it as default. Okay, this time I will say that I don't want any key pair because I will not log into that instance. I will give HTTP and HTTPS access, and I will select launch instance. So now you see the magic. Once this instance is logged in, there is no need for us to install any software to make this as web server. So now you see this, whatever is there with this website, this will automatically come from this instance. Okay, now the instance is successfully launched. Let's see that this is the instance from AMI. Okay, the instance state is pending here. Let us give it a minute. Now the status of instance is running. Now let me copy this IP address in the browser. Copy it and then paste it in the browser and enter. If you see now, whatever is there here, here also it is there. But we did not log into the second server, did not update the HTML code, etc. etc. Right? All this is happening because we have created this instance from the AMI that we have created. So basically, AMI is used from whatever is the base OS image. On that, we can install our software so that every time if you want to install that software, we no need to log into the server and install. We can create our own AMIs. Okay, that is the use of an AMI. And if we see here, okay, now this is which region? This is North Virginia region, right? Now, if I go into actions, okay, we have multiple options here. Edit AMI permissions. Okay, if I go here, this AMI is private, you see. If I want this to be available to the public, I can make this AMI public and save changes so that others, whoever wants to use my AMI also, they can search and then they can use the AMI. In the community AMIs, this will be updated. It will take some time to update. Now let me go to these actions again. You see, there is an option called as there's an option called as copy AMI. Okay. Now the name is web server. You see, this we are there in North Virginia. This AMI is there in North Virginia. Where I want to copy, let's say I want to copy this to Mumbai region. Okay. And then we can also give tags. We can also encrypt EBS snapshots of this AMI copy, but I don't want to do that. Let us select this option called as copy AMI. Okay. So that means now let's go to a region Mumbai here. Okay, go into AMIs. You see, this AMI by name web server is getting copied to this region. Now, in this Mumbai region, if I want to create an instance using this AMI, we can do that. Now, that is how we migrate instances from one region to another region. So, create an AMI of the running instance, copy the AMI from one region to another region, and then create an instance out of that. Now, let's wait for a few seconds. This AMI will be available, and then we can create an instance out of it. Now, if you see, this AMI is also available here. Now, we are there in Mumbai region. Okay, let me select this option called as instance, launch instance. I'll name this as my Mumbai web server. Now, here in the AMIs, I will choose my AMI. Okay, owned by me, and you see, I can see the web server here. Okay, there are two AMIs in my Mumbai region web server. Now, let's say I will log in without any key. I don't want any key. This is default VNet. Security group, I will add the HTTP and HTTP ports in the security group and select launch instance. Now you see this instance is successfully launched. Okay, the instance state is pending. Let us give it a minute so that the instance will be available. Okay, now I can copy this public IP address and I can put that in the browser once the instance is running. Let me put that in the browser and enter. Now if you see, this web server is up on this also. So you can see this one, this server, and this server is there in Mumbai. So all of them are created with the, so we created this server and we created an AMI out of that, and we created server out of that, and then we created another server in Mumbai. Okay, that is how all this AMIs will work. Okay, let's see what we have learned in this session. So basically we have understood what is auto scaling, we understood what is an AMI, and then we have migrated one EC2 instance from one region to another region by using AMI. Okay, that is what we have learned in this session. I'll see you guys in the next session. Take care.